Seen this before. Her divorced mother keeps telling the daughter how inconsistent, incapable, incompetent the father is. And the daughter just takes that with her throughout life and then expects by default every man to be incompetent. So when the man's like, hey, we're going to the fair, follow my lead. It's like, where are we going? It's like, I know where we're going. I'm a man here. I know the direction we're going. I've had this before where I'll go to Access, which basically is my second home, and I'll be on stage at Access, and I'll have the girl, she's following me, she's like, where are we going? And I'm like, we're in my home right now. Like, don't worry about it. I've got this handled. And I can tell, are you capable of respecting someone competent, or are you not, because you have gotten used to every man in your life either being told that they're incompetent, or you're actually experienced that they're incompetent. And so from that, I can tell really quick, it's like, hey, this is a little too much damage here. I can't fix you. This relationship is not going to work.
So what do you think?
Go on, honey. Take a chance.
I said I'm never coming back again. Next, I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, you saw the clip. The pre-gender war, or the origins, or, just somebody's villain story, whatever that is, origin story, comes from what he's talking about. You have adults who are having issues with each other. And what you wind up having is, both sides spilling the beans on the other. You get what I'm saying? And, the females say the men are like this. The men say women are like this. But so the kids grow up with either a disdain for the opposite sex, or they like really just watching and watching and watching, like, oh, you finna do it. You finna do it. And the issue is, it's like confirmation bias. If somebody does that thing, it's right. All of them like that. But then the problem you have with that is, when you're wrong, you don't take inventory. And a lot of times, going back to the beginning, too often adults don't tell you what they did wrong, especially when they are, using their time with you as a child to implement their hateful programming. Then they're gonna tell you, hey man, all these how can I say, all these guys is dogs, but they're not gonna tell you, yeah, these guys is dogs because I like dogs, because I like using these guys, and it becomes a transaction. They're not gonna say that. You're not gonna, flip side, the guys be like, man, all these women are hoes, and it's like, but you're not gonna tell a kid that, you're a serial hoe chaser because you're a womanizer. You're not gonna say, hey, yeah, that's kind of what I like, and that's the easiest thing I can get. You know what I'm saying? So let me roll with that. So now we have this issue over and over and over again. It's over and over and over again, where, the kids grow up and they start doing disrespectful stuff. And this is the issue, where you got young men, young women, preteens, doing disrespectful stuff, and not the playful, boys and girls, playing with each other, playing rough with each other, or just figuring out that I'm a boy and I'm a girl. Not that. I'm talking about past that. I'm talking about when, you see the videos with the young ladies talking, he need to spend this amount of money on you, and now you starting out, girls 12 years old, like you need to give me this and you need to give me that. That's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. You can say 12-year-old boy, like, look, you need to, you're a girl, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. It becomes disrespectful. It's like the Cosby Show. My big brother said this, that, and the third, and it's like, your big brother keep that to himself. So now people don't want to talk about how disrespectful they've been to the opposite sex for a long period of time. And as from a teenager to a young adult, um, some people get a kick out of get an enjoyment out of hurting people, or using people, or manipulating people, or playing people, or cheating on people. And while they're you know getting a high off of doing that, they're telling you like, this is the thing to do. Yeah, this is how you do it. And let me just say, half the time, it's some bull. If you're a kid, you're like, oh, that's some bull, because a lot of times, um, the person who's teaching you how to do the other gender wrong, when they're teaching it to you, you kind of looking like, but you wouldn't want nobody to do that to you though. And then on the other side, if you like, okay, I'm gonna do that, and you think it's cool, it doesn't dawn on you until somebody goes, "Oh, this what we doing? All right. Well, watch this response." And it's like, well, you're not supposed to respond like that. It's like, yes, I am. You did this. It's disrespectful. I'm gonna do that. So for me, the surprise, like he was talking about incompetent people, or having this, oh, I've never been around somebody competent, so I just don't know how to act. Usually, that those type of people have been around plenty incompetent, not plenty. I guess it's a Freudian slip, right? But they've been around plenty incompetent people, but they've been around plenty competent people also. And the issue is they run from the competent people, not necessarily, not just because they want the confirmation bias, but because when you were taught to be that these people were not dependable, and they were incompetent, and they were this, that, and the third. You you were taught how to deal with that. You weren't taught how to deal with somebody who is competent. So now you're a fish out of water when it comes to what people will feel like is normal stuff. And now you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to deal with somebody who's competent. It's like, yeah, that's a you problem. There's nobody teaching you that part, and that's a part of the dysfunctional programming, right? You're teaching the generation to use people, but and this is where people mess up for sure, because what happens is you got these people who they teach these kids these bad approaches, these bad habits, these bad ideologies, and then it's normal for the kid, and the parent who taught it grows out of that BS mindset. And now what's normal for the kid and and now what you grew out of is two different things. And now you trying to, I don't know how you got like this. You remember you had your feelings hurt, and you decided that because your feelings were hurt, you was gonna tell your kid, don't ever, this is how you never put yourself in this situation. So you told him something, and normalized something that was dysfunctional when it came to male female relationships. You told him that. you know it's kind of like it's no nice way to say what I'm about to say. It's not kind of like like I've been around the women who taught other taught young girls to use men, right? And you use your mouth and use your body to manipulate and use men. And then and they do it. And these men are suckers because they took my advances, and they slept with me, but I played them. It's like, okay, but then the end game is normally, you just like you played them, you played yourself. And there's nothing nobody could do about that. That's the path you chose, and that's how that ends. And then you have a problem, because now you know you have a kid, and you're like, should I, if I got a daughter, would I teach her this? If I got a son, I need to teach him, like, stay away from people like me. Same thing with the guys who, they teach the boys, like, hey, you know, be a serial cheater. It's like, okay, all right. But they don't tell the dudes like, hey man, You could be a serial cheater if you want to, but if you wind up becoming successful, you're gonna lose most of what you worked for because you was a serial cheater, and they're not gonna tell you that part. You know what I'm saying? And then if you, God forbid, you have a daughter, I don't want my daughter to meet nobody like me. And it's like, exactly. So at some point, you know, a lot of us adults just don't want to take the L and not pass down the BS to the kids. But there's so many people that are immature that they go, you know what? Let me create the next generation of a gender war. And that's why you have the situations you have now. Because some of us adults ain't telling y'all that, like, yo, you've been set up to be in a gender war from people's not just bad decisions, because they ain't bad decisions, they're selfish choices. They just didn't want the fallout of their selfish choices. But I'm gonna leave it at that. You tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.